Hey guys, week 35. I wanted to start this out with actually some corrections. I'm going to probably, if I notice I did something wrong in the last video, which will probably be every video, I'll probably do some corrections right off the bat. The first thing is, for some reason in Mother, I said it was Diane Keaton instead of Michelle Pfeiffer. Somebody pointed that out to me, but I realized after I did it, I can't believe I did it. Diane Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer, nothing alike, but Michelle Pfeiffer plays Ed Harris's wife in Mother. She's great in it. I can't believe I did that. Dumb. On my part. And Super Dark Times, I mentioned it takes place in fall. It actually takes place in early winter. Those are the mistakes that I noticed. Let me hop right into this. I have some reviews for you and the pick a movie, of course. The first one I will be covering is Arrow Academy's The Apartment. Yeah. This bad boy is a pretty deluxe edition here. It's by Billy Wilder. The only Billy Wilder movie I had seen was Some Like It Hot, which is a classic. Jack Lemmon, Tony Curtis, Marilyn Monroe. Those two guys kind of go disguise as, women to escape, I think, some criminal activity. It's been years since I've seen that. I actually watched that in high school film class. But The Apartment, a little bit different. It stars Jack Lemmon in here. And he's the actor I'm most familiar with. And Jack Crunchin, who actually pops up in Satan's Cheerleaders. How the Mighty Had Fallen for that one. Because he's great in this, and he's, kind of looks like A-list in this movie, but then he pops up in Satan's Cheerleaders, and I was scratching my head, like, he's not even good in that, and he's great in this. But I'm kind of deviating from what I'm talking about. The Apartment follows this guy, Jack Lemmon. He's kind of a guy, he works in this office, he works very hard, he's always taken advantage of by his, his pit bosses and his boss eventually, but they use his apartment. He can never go inside of his apartment because there's always guys cheating on their wives with it. This is 1960, remind you. This movie, I believe, won Best Picture and beat out Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho, so, it has some weight to it. So Jack Lemmon plays this interesting kind of character. He's approachable, but he's also funny, but, you like him, although he's involved with all these kind of seedy things, and this movie has a lot of seedy stuff going on in it, but it's not played seedy or sleazy, even though it should be. It's played for laughs at times, but it also gets really deep and has these moments of, emotional impact about suicide, about being the other person in a relationship when someone's cheating on you. There's lots going on there. And there's, of course, the doctor next door to Jack Lemmon, who played by Jack Crucian, who is kind of watching him and and everybody thinks he's this big playboy, and he has to juggle this role of, appearing to be the playboy so he doesn't get anyone else in trouble, and while losing kind of his soul and moving up the corporate ladder by doing all these things for people. It's an interesting movie, and it's 2 hours long. It ends great. They set up tons of stuff. And on the special features, they mention how well this movie set things up. There's a great shot of the office, and they talk about using smaller people. I believe it was children in suits towards the back to make it look the depth and whatnot. And Billy Wilder, they would mention in interviews that he said he's not a filmmaker. He's not making art. He's making entertainment. And, I wish everyone took their entertainment this seriously, because this is a seriously well-made film. Like I said, it's black and white. It's interesting, it's entertaining, and watching it only once, I don't think I can really give it a just review, but it looks nice, it sounds nice, made me laugh, very interesting, and memorable movie for sure. The features on here are loaded. I'll go through a couple of them, and I watched everything in here. Who's involved with here? There's an audio commentary with the film historian. He talks about, the framing and all sorts of things on here. There's a guy who does a small commentary on a scene, video essay with Billy Wilder and Jack Lemmon talking about their career. And there's also an interview with Hope Holiday, who's a great little character actor in this one, very funny. There's a thick book. It's heavy duty on this case, and the whole thing together with all that's super heavy. It looks, like I said, it looks gorgeous. But also, there's also these archival features ported over, I believe, from the old DVD, which is nice to see. Regardless, if you like film in general, or you like, this is a section that I probably shouldn't even talk about, but it was interesting to see for the first time. Well-made movie, starring Jack Lemmon, which was interesting. I've seen Jack Lemmon's bigger movies, like, of course, Some Like It Hot and the Grumpy Old Men movies, but I haven't got to see him, super young all the time, unless he's dressed up like a woman. But that is The Apartment, won Best Picture in 1960, and a bunch of other things, and Billy Wilder's a guy I would be interested in checking out more of his movies for sure.
Good night. Oh, Miss Cubic? I've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
I almost didn't recognize you. This is the first time I've ever seen you so very close.
How'd everything go on the 27th floor?
Oh, you're great. Look, have you seen the Music Man?
Nope.
Would you like to?
Sure.
I thought maybe we'd get a bite to eat first, and then we go.
Oh, you mean tonight?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't. I'm meeting somebody.
Oh. You mean like a girlfriend?
No, like a man.
I wasn't trying to be personal. It's just the fellas in the office. They were wondering about you, you know, if you ever...
You tell him now and then.
This date, is it just a date, or is it something serious?
Well, it used to be serious. At least I was, but he wasn't. So now the whole thing's more or less kaput.
Well, in that case, couldn't you...
No, I'm afraid not. I promised I'd have a drink with him. He's been calling me all week.
I understand. Well, it was, just an idea. Hate to see a theater ticket go to waste.
What time does the show go on?
8:30.
Well, I could meet you at the theater if that's all right.
All right, that's wonderful. It's Majestic on 44th Street.
I'll meet you in the lobby, okay?
Yeah. You know, I felt so lousy this morning. I had 101 fever. Now, along comes my promotion and us. 11th row center. And you said I should have stayed there.
How is your cold?
What cold? After the show, we could go out on the town. I've been taken from Arthur Murray.
So I see.
There's a great little band at El Chico, the village. It's practically around the corner from where you live.
Sounds good. How do you know where I live?
Oh, why, you know who you live with. Sister and brother-in-law. I know when you were born and where. I know all sorts of things about you.
How come?
Oh, a couple of months ago, I looked up your card in the group insurance file. I know your height, and your weight, and your social security number. You had bumps and measles, and you had your appendix out.
Don't mention the appendix to the fellas in the office, okay? I wouldn't want them to get the wrong idea about how you found out. Bye.
The next one here is The Voice of the Moon by Federico Fellini. I've never seen a Fellini movie. You know, I've seen a Pasolini movie. I've never seen a Fellini movie. He's a huge Italian director. One of the big dogs, and when you think of, you know, films, his name pops up all the time. And this is his last movie. He was very old in this movie. This movie's made in, like, I want to say, like, the late 80s, early 90s, and it looks like that. It's an Italian film. And some of the scenes with the mausoleums in here reminded me of Cemetery Man. Not quite as, you know, eerie, but it definitely had that little thing going on for it. It felt Italian, felt like the time period for sure. The movie stars a guy, it follows this character around who just was recently released from a mental institution, and he goes about trying to deliver this this Cinderella-style slipper to this girl he had a fascination with, who kind of resembles the moon. And he's trying to deliver this slipper back that he accidentally stole to her the whole movie. She's in beauty pageants, and he runs, it comes in contact with all these strange, bizarre characters that have a lot of different things to say. And then all these strange brothers are trying to capture the moon and bring it down. I imagine these are weird allegories for things and whatnot. And it's such a strange thing, such a strange movie. It feels big in places. It's well shot. It just goes all over the place. They say it's a swan song for Fellini, but I've not seen his other movies, so I can't really compare to that. It's an interesting movie, and I noticed that a lot of cult movies have this kind of similar plot where it's like, so-and-so, weird character, wanders all these different places, and he meets all these zany, weird, outrageous characters, and they have all these interactions that lead to other places. There's some funny moments in here. There's also, the highlight to me is this super paranoid old man who thinks everybody's out to get him, and of course, him and the mental patient team up, and the paranoid old man befriends him, and he's like, you're my second in command, and when their scenes together are great because this old man's probably the best character in the movie to me, because he doesn't trust anyone, and he ends up at this weird giant concert. And it's strange that happens too, because the movie doesn't feel like it takes place in even modern times. And then that happens, and you're like, wow, it's just so strange. It's a bizarre movie. And I think that the beginning looks much more beautiful, but as the movie progresses, it gets more and more wild. It's cool. I never had seen it, and I believe this is the first time it's ever been released. So, you know, it looks good. There's a lot of fog and a lot of atmosphere. The main guy, I'm trying to think, he looked like to me, I'm sure he's a big actor, but to me, it was Dario Argento and Woody Allen ran into each other at full pace, and he kind of has that weird kind of zany character type. It's strange that it's a man obsessed, but he is the main character, and you don't dislike him. It's kind of a kind of a weird, bizarre movie, but looks good and sounds good. I'm not 100% on this one, just as it is a first-time view, and it probably could require a couple more viewings to, you know, really kind of gather what I feel about it.
Siamo un sacco, da questa parte! Non oseranno toccarci qui! E sparino pure le loro bombarde! Sì.
È proprio come la stanza vuota di casa mia. Vicino alla camera da letto c'era una stanza completamente vuota, soltanto delle mele e delle nespole sul pavimento. Tutto è cominciato in quella stanza, quando c'era un silenzio sospeso come questo. È in un silenzio così che arrivano gli schiamazzi di quegli uccelli, quei fischi, quei rintocchi di campane, e sento delle parole che mi sembra di capire, ma che non capisco.
Conosco questo loro trucco. Cosa le dicono esattamente?
Ma sono così veloci, incalzanti, afferro solo qualche sillaba. Perciò, per esempio, oppure comunque. Ecco, una volta hanno detto molto chiaro quindi.
Quindi, Cani vigliacchi. E vogliono che sia lei a fare il primo passo, no? Se riuscivano a prenderla erano guai seri per lei. Ormai è guerra dichiarata. Compilata da un cosiddetto esperto, Ecco qua. Gonella Adolfo, nato a eccetera, eccetera, eccetera. Piuttosto grasso e pesante nella persona. E vabbè, fin qui. Fisionomia ottusa, sordità nevrastenica, rifiuta il colloquio. Dovrei parlare con loro per farmi insultare. Ed ecco il colmo. Di modesta famiglia. Giovanotto, non volevo dirglielo per non mettere in soggezione, ma io sono del ramo francese dei Biancamano. Sono un de la Gillette. E la signora che la saluta al mio fianco, che lei certamente non ha visto, perché seguita da quei manigoldi, è la duchessa d'Alba.
The next one here is by Walter Hill. This is Johnny Handsome from Lionsgate. First off the bat, this is not a great looking Blu-ray. I'm just going to give you the heads up. But this is a Walter Hill movie, I believe made in 1989, late 89, with Ry Cooder doing the music again. He did the music in Long Riders. He did the music in the movie The Border, which isn't a Walter Hill movie, but probably could have been. And it stars, this cast here is gonna let you guys know that this movie is probably something you want to check out. It stars Mickey Rourke as a deformed man, elephant kind of John Merritt kind of guy, Elephant Man. It has Forrest Whitaker, Morgan Freeman, Ellen Barkin, and of course Lance Henriksen in a very intense role, and Scott Wilson from the Ninth Configuration, The Walking Dead, Behind the Mask, all sorts of stuff. So it's got a beautiful cast. It's very well acted, and that's the number one thing this movie has going for it. I do believe there's some strange pacing issues here, where it jumps around in places and then stops for long periods of time. I understand the pacing seems weird to me. I saw this movie years ago on television with my parents, and we enjoyed it. We remember the ending. I always remembered everything about it. But Mickey Rourke gives a great performance, something truly amazing, to be honest. And Morgan Freeman, this is before he's been, this is before Seven. This is before, I want to say it might even be before Shawshank Redemption. But yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it is. But so, he's not the big, actor he became, but he's really tremendous in this movie. He's the detective kind of, Mickey Rourke's this criminal who gets double-crossed. He has this really messed up face by Ellen Barkin and Lance Henriksen. They double-cross him and Scott Wilson. And Mickey Rourke ends up going to prison, and they say, man, we want to help you out. We believe that because of your facial appearance, it kind of ruins your life and turns you to a thing of crime. Forrest Whitaker's this doctor. He takes pity on him. They reconstruct his face. Mickey Rourke gets out. He starts this relationship, starts a new job. He has a chance to go straight. But you know how Walter Hill movie is. It's played like a film noir. They don't end happy, and they don't always go. The characters don't always do what you want them to do. And Mickey Rourke has vengeance on his mind, so he infiltrates the gang with Lance Henriksen and Ellen Barkin. And there's a great back and forth between them trying to figure out who he is and whatnot. But two of the highlights to me in this movie, I also mentioned how great Morgan Freeman and Mickey Rourke are, but man, oh man, Lance Henriksen and Ellen Barkin are vicious monsters in this movie. Their dogs are barking, and Lance Henriksen's super intense, and you can tell Ellen Barkin is matching it, and they're just sleazy, greasy bad guys. They're the best part of the movie, to be honest. All the acting, like I said, is top-notch. The character's top-notch. The pacing's a little off. The endings, I enjoy it. It's downbeat. The movie takes place in Louisiana, so that's always a plus. I always like seeing that. But it's an interesting Walter Hill movie. Not his best work, but definitely something worth checking out. I like it. I would put it behind Southern Comfort, Extreme Prejudice. I would put it behind those. I would put it on the line with maybe something like Long Riders, a little bit less, but it's a great movie. But it's not his best work. But check out Johnny Handsome. The disc isn't great, but they did do some features on here, which were nice to see. Interview with the stunt guy. I can't even say it right now. Who also is the second unit director on here. You'll notice he's in a bunch of Walter Hill movies as bit parts. Always a stuntman. Always know he's going to get messed up. He had a nice juicy role in Deadwood, but he's in this. Interview with him and interview with, I believe, the writer. So it's nice on here, and it's done by Red Shirt Pictures, so that's always cool. Check it out. I mean, the picture doesn't look great on the release or anything, but they did do some features, so that's always nice.
He hid behind the mask of his own face.
We're working with him?
Walking in the shadows.
Thanks to a genetic abnormality, he was born with physical defects that all humanity consider totally disgusting.
On the edge of violence.
I got something for you, boy!
Till one day his world was shattered.
It was just like a big brother to you. You just tell me who they are and where I can find them.
You are in the lockdown ward at St. Matthew's Charity. I run a program that deals with reconstructive surgery. How would you like a new face? I will give you a new name and a chance at a new life.
I know who you are and I know what you are.
You look like a great guy, at least I think so.
I'm not so sure that I'm what you want.
I know what I want.
What's the matter? Ready to be normal?
But all he sees is the past.
I saw them kill my best friend.
Why don't you give me a little hint, baby? Help me remember who you are.
He'll come to you.
I'm gonna take him out big when the time gets right.
You really think you're gonna get even with me?
You got a shot at a better life. You can't just throw that away.
I don't think you know what you're messing with.
Sure I do.
Johnny Handsome.
The next four I actually do not have physical copies of. Go figure. I watched 2 of them on Amazon streaming, 1 of them on Shudder, and 1 of them on Vudu. The first one I will be talking about is on Amazon Prime. It is Tiger Joe. Yeah, this is by Antonio Margheriti, I believe he says his name. I probably mispronounced it, but Margheriti's done tons of movies. This is actually the final part of his Vietnam trilogy. The first, I believe it was The Last Hunter or Cannibal Apocalypse. I'm not necessarily sure which one came out first. Probably Cannibal Apocalypse, which is one of my all-time favorite video nasties, starring John Saxon, Tony King, and Giovanni Ribisi. So it's a great movie. And then the second one is The Last Hunter, starring Tony King and David Warbeck and Tisa Farrow, which is also a great Vietnam movie. I love that one. And the final was Tiger Joe, which I had not seen. It's never had a nice, decent release. It's only been on VHS and Amazon streaming. Amazon Prime had it for free. It looks like crap. It's on VHS. But that's the best it's going to get. And it is the conclusion to the Vietnam trilogy. This one has David Warbeck and Tony King and Annie Bell in it from House on the Edge of the Park, among others. So it was nice seeing a familiar cast. David Warbeck kind of plays a similar role, but less jaded. He has a little bit, a shred of hope in him. Tony King plays Midnight. He is tremendous in this movie. I love him in it. He's great. And Tony King's always intense. And there's also this character, I can't think of his name. He's in Pulp. He's an Italian guy, and he's also pops up in Blood Black Lace. They call him Little Man in this one. This one is about a supplies runner played by David Warbeck. Tony King and the little guy are his buddies, and David Warbeck gets shot down over Vietnam, and he basically has to survive. He gets picked up by these humanitarians. Annie Bell is one of them. So they team up on a survival mission. Of course, Tony King and his buddy comes looking for him, and there's a lot of action. There's a lot of shooting, lots of explosions going on. It's basically a survival movie in the jungle. David Warbeck's great in it. He's got the perfect persona for this kind of character. Likable but mean, but also has he's interesting. He has these dark secrets. I love the back and forth between the 3 Vietnam guys, Little Man, Tony King, and David Warbeck. And Tony King is my favorite part. There's this emotional moment in the movie where something happens to one of the characters, and some people may laugh at it. They're like, oh, that's too over the top, but he was like, little man, I don't want to say it. He's just great in it. It gets emotional, and it leads into a fight. There is a tiger in it, and it's which is awesome. It's just I really enjoyed the hell out of it. The end fight scene is also loads of fun. It nonstop action, nonstop battles. There's not all these squibs going on, but it is fairly violent, fairly action packed, and the most happy of this Vietnam trilogy. It seems that they might have progressively got happier. It would have been cool. I love John Saxon. I adore John Saxon in Cannibal Apocalypse. I do. It would have been cool. I adore John Saxon in Cannibal Apocalypse. I adore him. But it would have kind of been cool if they had some consistency with David Warbeck being in all 3 of the movies. He is in 2, and Tony King is in all 3. So it would have been really cool to see David Warbeck, but, it's probably my favorite John Saxon role, so I can't really give that up. But, in Cannibal Apocalypse. But Tiger Joe, well worth your time. If you want to check it out, it is on Amazon. It looks like crap. It's VHS quality, but it is in widescreen, so maybe it's a little better in VHS. But really fun Vietnam movie, Italian movie by Antonio Margheriti. Like it, more than like it. If I watched it again, I would love it. Come on, please give a Blu-ray of this one.
Tiger Joe, an adventure set in the murderous jungles of Cambodia. Tiger is a tough Vietnam veteran who runs guns to both sides and knows how to use them.
Maybe I was wrong in taking it off.
He falls in love with a beautiful girl left behind in the Holocaust, with whom he fights his way to freedom.
I admire you for your courage. But how much longer do you think you can keep all this up?
Tiger Joe, a story with everything: action, adventure, and romance.
The next one is by Bruno Mattei, Sherlock Meister. Yeah, it is Robowar. Again on Amazon streaming, Amazon Prime. I had never seen Robot War. Yeah, you guys know Bruno Mattei. King of the rip, he's a rip-off artist, Hell of the Living Dead's a rip-off of Dawn of the Dead. You got Rats, Knights of Terror. Some people say, like Mad Max, Night of the Living Dead. And then you got his newer ones, like Zombies the Beginning, that came out in the early 2000s, that are just straight Alien and Aliens rip-offs. He remade a Cannibal Holocaust movie, I think, called Cannibal Holocaust 2: The Beginning. Bruno Mattei is a rip-off meister, and he makes vastly entertaining movies. Robowar I had not seen. It is a rip-off, they say, of Predator and RoboCop. It's just Predator. It's just a remake of Predator. Okay, you have 6 badass kind of trained military guys led by Reb Brown that are supposed to go in this jungle and rescue some people. This other guy's forced to go along with them. They don't like him. He's also a commando. So you get the 7 exactly the way Set Up Predator does. Even some of the dialogue tries to mimic Predator in embarrassing ways. Reb Brown sticks a guy with a knife and says, "Don't move," instead of "stick around." Hilarious. Reb Brown has charisma. Reb Brown is fun. He pops up in other stuff like the old Captain America movie or Big Wednesday, Uncommon Valor. So he's a familiar face. He's having fun in it. I don't care. It's enjoyable seeing all these guys in the movie. There's some familiar faces among the commandos. You got the guy from Zombie 4 After Death. Who else is in this one? There's another guy, Romano Pupo, who pops up in a bunch of Ennio Casarelli movies and Sergio Martino movies and Ghoulies 2. He plays a strongman, so it's great seeing him. He plays a commando. So you got some familiar faces. The back and forth between them is hilarious. It's not great. The Predator is just a robot, and they even do a twist who the Predator is, which is hilarious. And there's a hilarious scene with a landmine where he's like, people are getting exploded by landmines, and one guy says, "I'll go," and just runs up and blows up. And it's just like, why would you go? You're not proving anything. But it's silly. The robot's vastly annoying because he keeps saying, locked, 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 device, 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 and he looks cheap. He looks hilarious. Again, a lot of action. It is pretty much a low-budget Bruno Mattei remake of Predator. It's fun. Would buy a Blu-ray. Enjoyable as hell. In widescreen, on Amazon streaming. Doesn't look great either.
Here we have Corporal Neil Corey, top marksman rating. Private Larry Garino, Alfred Bray, dubbed Papa Doc. Sonny Peel, martial arts expert. His friends call him Blood. Quang, forward scout and point taker. And this is our coordinator, Major Murphy Black.
Enemy sighted, moving target, receive, on target, on target, on target, fire, fire.
Let's get ready for a clean
Start
kill.
settling some accounts here.
Enemy sighted, moving target.
Major, this belonged to Lieutenant Woodring. Remember him?
On target, on target, on target,
Keep still.
Sorry.
Target center, receive.
Oh boy, the next one is a Shudder exclusive. And I shudder to think about it, man. I know that's a terrible, terrible transition. Jeez Louise, man. Kuso by Flying Lotus. It's a musician of some sorts. This is an anthology, I guess, about the earthquake. This is the Shudder exclusive, an earthquake cracking open and releasing these weird bugs and viruses, and everybody's sick, and I don't know what's happening. I don't know what is going on. It is an interesting movie. To say it's bad, to say I don't like it, I couldn't do that. I couldn't say that. It's so weird. It's gross. Almost everything about this movie was repulsive to me. There's all these different stories that cut. They don't play chronologically. They just cut or jump around with all these different characters. The best one to me is the guy who's scared of boobs, and he goes to the doctors to have this strange bug come out of a man, George Clinton, the musician's anus, and spew crap on him so he can get over his, fear of breast. That's what we're dealing with here. There is a horrifically nasty scene, short in here with a little creature that grows on a woman's neck, and sexual things happen. It is partially funny at times, but it is so gross. There's lots of poop. There's lots of pus. There's lots of weird animation that reminds me of Jimmy Screamer Claws. It is a fairly extreme movie. It is goofy and stupid and gross, and at times metaphorically well made. Strange world that these people live in, and I don't want to see any more of it unless I have to. But I've never seen anything quite like Kuso. I will say that. If you like interesting movies, if you like kind of disturbing, strange movies where you say, what the hell is going on? If you have a weak stomach, pass on it. But if you don't, if you are feeling very, what am I looking for here? Adventurous, then I would definitely check it out. I need to see it again. It's maybe a movie that I would show people. Like, man, watch how gross and weird and different this is. I mean, it's a compliment for sure. I'm not sure if I like it, but I appreciate making something weird and different and crazy like this. Lexington Steele pops up in there too. If you don't know who that is, then I'll let you discover that on your own. But Kuso, a bizarre anthology, unlike anything else. Dark, twisted, but sometimes funny, always gross, always repulsive. Just super weird, man. Super, super weird. Crazy, weird, bizarre animation, and a lot of repetitive things that happen into it that are there to kind of jar your memory, jar your mind, just make it so weird. Such weird stuff.
Listen to that guy over there.
We should take you to the doctor. You got to understand, I can cure your ass, but you got to be willing to finish the procedure. Skin me alive. I survived, and I can barely believe it.
It's amazing.
But it's too late. Death is on your hell.
It's okay. It doesn't have teeth.
You know, the procedure for a fool to recognize his wiser self requires the pulverizing, undoing. Of all his fears.
Oh, the next one is Pick of the Week. Eduardo Hernandez Lopez won, and he picked the new Leatherface movie, Leatherface. Yeah, I had not heard much about it except that mostly negative things, and it was directed by the guys who did Inside. I love Inside. Been a long time since I've seen it, and I'm not one of these guys that says, man, Leatherface has to be, you know, rule. It has to follow the same stories of the family, cutting people up and turning them into sausages, yada, yada, yada. I love Leatherface 1. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I should say. The original 74. Masterpiece. Hands down. Don't even try to argue it. I'm not going to listen. Part 2, vastly fun by Tobe Hooper as well. Enjoy it. Like it. Quite a bit. Dennis Hopper going nuts. Bill Moseley, like it. Leatherface 3, I kind of like it. Leatherface 4, not really. Didn't care for the remake, didn't care for the prequel, although, I mean, at the beginning, they have good gore. Watched part of the Texas Chainsaw one that came out a bit, couldn't get into it, and the timeline was all weird. This one is different. This one is bizarre. This one is not a Leatherface movie, which is a problem for a lot of people, but like I just said, I don't care if it follows exactly the same stories. It's not going to bug me as long as it's good. Unfortunately for me, I did not like it either. I didn't think it was particularly good. The movie starts off with promise. It starts off in the opening where, you know, this kid is he's in the Sawyer family. He doesn't want to do what his family's doing, but he ends up kind of caving in and leading a victim in, and they die. This ends up being the sheriff's daughter, and it's Stephen Dorff, who is aged fairly well. I'm surprised. He snaps. He basically takes all the kids away from the Sawyer mother because he can't prove it was murder, but he can get rid of her kids. They all get taken away, especially the young kid. They never find him. 10 years pass, and at this nut house, shouldn't say nut house, this insane asylum, although these people are far more than just insane. They're crazy. There's something wrong with them. These aren't the type of people that go in a nut house. They say it's a very, very violent, insane asylum. They changed the name, they changed their history, and it's been 10 years. So, you know, you don't know who Leatherface is in this place. And my biggest problem with this movie is they think they're doing some sort of twist. There doesn't need to be a twist. And if you start to think that, you catch hints that they're doing a twist, and then after a while you think, this isn't clever. This is just a waste of time. Like, I explained it like it's a movie about somebody going in the grocery store looking for milk, and then at the very end of it, they pull a piece of cheese off and say, I wasn't looking for milk, I was looking for cheese, and then they walk out. That's what it reminds me of. I don't know why, how to define that exactly, but that's what's going on here. The positives for me are the gore. It has pretty good gore. It has kind of a cool setup. But really, it turns into like less of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, which I don't really mind. But the whole story pertains to that so much that it's kind of annoying. Like, it pertains so much to the Texas Chainsaw lineage. Like, it talks about it all the time. I mean, it is. It has to be. And it's not at all. It doesn't really feel like one, which I wouldn't necessarily care. They're all so different and all so weird. But it's just something particularly about it I didn't care for. It plays a lot more like a Quentin Tarantino Rob Zombie ripoff than it would a Texas Chainsaw movie, or even a horror movie in that matter. It doesn't really play like a horror movie. There's a scene in a diner that's just like, man, this is very Tarantino Rob Zombie-ish, and the characters in here are just very annoying. to put it. Some are okay, but there's a couple that are just aggravatingly annoying in here. But I got to give the movie props for doing a couple things that I didn't expect it to do. There's a burn victim who has a sex scene, and their face and their body, and they show it, and I was like, you know what? That's probably the best scene of the whole movie. That little thing took kind of balls, which I thought was kind of cool. And they set up some moments that I think are really great, but they don't pay off because the ending and the psychology of the Leatherface is just I don't understand it. And then they shoehorn something in at the end with lipstick when I don't spoil too much. I understand what they're going for, and I don't think it works like that. But there's some moments worth watching, I guess, especially if you're interested in it. Stephen Dorff, I think, does a good job. He does his best William Forsythe from Devil's Rejects. But saying that, I understand that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 originally was kind of, the Devil's Rejects kind of was like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 where you have this guy out for revenge, chasing the gang down, chasing the family down. But this doesn't feel like that Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And like I said, I don't really have to have it feel like it, but I have to have it be good. And I don't think it's good, so it's hard to criticize it for being different, but it's not because it's different. It's because it's something else than it should be. And that something else isn't good either, if that makes sense to anybody. It does feel like just a bad remake of Devil's Rejects, or with like Tarantino like flourishes in it, but it has the nice setup of the insane asylum, so it gives you some promise. Like, cool, man, Leatherface in an insane asylum, yes, I'm in, but that's not what you get. You get an escape, and the sheriff's chasing him on a blood crazy rampage. There's some fun, gory moments in here, but I really can't recommend it. I love the pick a week thing because I would have never watched this, and I was kind of interested. I bought it on Vudu. I really appreciate people partaking in it. Eduardo Hernandez Lopez, I hope you enjoyed the movie. I know you purchased it, but I hope you like it. I think that there is some things to be enjoyed about it. It's just not for me. I mean, there are some good special effects in here, and the setup is kind of fun, but I don't like the pay. It's just like, why bother? You're not making a mystery here. I don't want it as a mystery.
You trying to make us crash?
You want me to stop?
What is it?
I don't know. Okay, now, make a wish. You ready for your present? You let those boys go this instant.
He's not under arrest. He's under protection.
What are you talking about?
I'll take all yours, Verna. All of them.
The state of Texas instituted an endangered child care program. Keeping them here is safer for everyone. I want every cop from here to New Mexico on the lookout. This is evil. He's putting down.
You show them who you are.
But let me get into the pick a movie. This is a segment where anybody who wants to be entered to tell me the next movie to watch and review for you guys, I will. There's some names in here. All you gotta do is leave a comment where you leave the Q&A or enter the contest when they have them. Let's see who it's gonna be this time. I know some of these, I added some from like all sorts of YouTube that people mentioned. Who do we got? James Grimmer. There you go, buddy. So, get to me. What movie do you want me to review for next week? And I'll get to it as fast as I can. Let's get into the Q&A. Jonathan Wilhelm, do you double dip on your movies? Yes, I do end up double dipping sometimes. If it's a different print, if it's a better print, if it's uncut, or sometimes the features are immaculate, I will double dip. I upgrade too. Like if it's on DVD and I like it, or I haven't even seen it and I'm interested, I'll wait till the Blu-ray and I'll buy it. So I have a lot of movies on DVD that I bought 10 years ago I haven't watched, but I want to wait for a Blu-ray now because I've waited 10 years already, if that makes any sense. Dan, how do you decide what movies to buy? By company I look at, by director, by actor, by buzz, all sorts of different things. Are there any plans on a possible room collection tour video? Yes, but it's going to be a month or so. I want to get another shelf for my Blu-ray room because it's overflowing and I'd like to present it nicely. Nick, these days a lot of older classics find their way to Blu-ray. They are usually accompanied by audio commentaries done by fans. Any old classics you would like to do a commentary for? I don't know if I'm skilled enough or trained enough or knowledgeable enough to do a commentary on something. I'd really have to sit down, and I imagine the ones I'd want to do one for, there'd be somebody better at it than me. So it's like, what would I do? I'd want to do a lot of research beforehand, something that I could talk about all day. I'd like to talk about, stuff that maybe nobody would give a crap about. I mean, not saying it's bad. I love it. The Item or Cullibus, something like that would be fun for me, I guess. Or fan commentaries and just put them online. If you guys would ever want to see fan commentaries, I don't want to do it by myself. Maybe find a buddy of mine. James Kramer, what's the most trippy movie you've ever seen? Right now, Kuso. Kuso is trippy. Ugh. I'll go with that for now. Mr. Tony the Dead. Hey, Dave, my question is, who or what is your all-time favorite movie monster? The creature from the Black Lagoon. Me and him have a history as a kid. Also, is there any movie that you think deserves a sequel but has never had one? Neon Maniacs would have been great. And there's a lot of slasher movies back in the day that I thought would have made cool sequels that never got made. Everybody brings up My Bloody Valentine, and that one probably would have done well with a sequel, to be honest. Could have been a nice franchise in that. I mean, you think about it, some movies get so many sequels and then others don't. I want more Ghoulies sequels, but that got sequels. I want more, what's something I would have loved to see a sequel of? Neon Maniacs I really would have, because I think they would have made it bigger and better. And Nightbreed, of course. Nightbreed really desperately would have loved a sequel. But those are the questions. Thanks again, guys. If you want to ask a question, please leave one at the Screaming Toilet link below. And let me know if you want to be entered in the Pick a Movie. Like I said, if I'd review anything. Here we go. For the update, we have Emmanuelle and the Deadly Black Cobra from Code Red. Jack Palance is in this. And we have 7 Bloodstained Orchids from Code Red. Orchids, sorry. By Umberto Lenzi, a Giallo. And we have 68 Kill with Matthew Gray Gruber, who I love. And the lady from Excision. This is directed by Trent Haga, who wrote Cheap Thrills and was in Citizen Toxic 4. But I love Gray Gruber. If anybody hasn't seen Suburban Gothic, he's great in that movie. That's a really fun movie. But I really appreciate everybody watching and the interactions and everything and the suggestions. As always, if you need any comments, concerns, suggestions, let me know. Do it on the Screaming Toilet page or the YouTube. If you want to do the Pick a Movie, I can get to that. But thank you very much for watching. And you guys, as always, have a good one.